mighty American aircraft carrier USS Enterprise off the Queensland coast, taking part in Kangaroo 2, a war games exercise on a scale unprecedented in Australia.
LSC to the bow, LSC to the bow.
Two and a half thousand kilometers further south, Hobart, Tasmania, was preparing for an exercise of a different kind. With the last victory roll, the carrier heads south for well-deserved rest and recreation in exercise Kangaroo 3. Soon after dawn, on Friday, October 29, 1976, Tasmania's major port, Hobart, welcomed the Enterprise. A floating nuclear defense base of 90,000 tons, as high as an 11-story building. An awesome giant equipped with 90 menacing planes of 8 different types. To the men of the Enterprise, Hobart signaled the start of 7 days' leave. In one of the great deep sea ports of the world, big ships are no strangers. Constitution Dock is home port to the world-famous Sydney to Hobart yacht race, one of the world's best-known blue water classics. But it is the cargo ships that are the lifeblood of the island state, serviced by modern port facilities among the best in the Southern Hemisphere. As 35 tons of anchor plunged into the River Derwent, Tasmania's detailed plans for hospitality on a grand scale were about to be tested. How could Tasmania, whose total population makes it little bigger than a small United States city, cope with a sudden influx of almost 6,000 men? But cope it did, in a manner that was to make Kangaroo 3 Tasmania's most memorable exercise in goodwill. Hobart was the only Australian port of call for the Enterprise, and it was to extend a welcome befitting the whole nation. The 8th and mightiest Enterprise in the United States Navy had been at sea for 3 months, so the priority was just to get ashore. For some, however, first priority was Hobart Airport, to meet wives and families who had flown in direct from America. The dial-a-sailor service proved so much in demand that it had to be abandoned on the 4th day, when all 5,800 sailors had been catered for. For Lieutenant Dave Elhoff, a young fighter pilot, ahead was 7 days' leave. and a date with Lee Cummings. And what better way to get acquainted than a walk in Hobart's historic Battery Point. But while Dave had found himself a girl, Chief Petty Officer Tom Miovis, head of the Enterprise Meteorological Office, had found himself a family. Peter Black, himself a petty officer in the Royal Australian Navy, took Tom home for a day of homegrown hospitality. While at Ross, in Tasmania's Midlands, the action was of a different kind. An Australian rodeo. Tasmania turned on its famous wood chopping. There was even the great Australian meat pie. After a full day of country fare, it was back to Hobart to sample the nightlife. Being a fishing port, Hobart is an ideal destination for lovers of seafood. To escape the hectic days aboard Enterprise, Lieutenant Chip Brown visited Hobart's Royal Botanical Gardens. For the men who had lived in a ship that serves up to 15,000 meals a day, a place like the Japanese Sakura restaurant on Hobart's waterfront proved a gourmet's delight.
And this is their vegetables to use for the sukiyaki. And the sukiyaki is cut out all vegetables, very small like this. So, in the chopstick, we Japanese don't use knife and fork. So everything is cut out small like this first. And this is the sukiyaki pan. And put them in match.
Tasmania's historic places caught the imagination too, and cameras were soon clicking in the old town of Richmond. In keeping with the traditions of Hobart, some of the Enterprise crew sought to return to colonial times in an atmosphere of early whaling days and traditional songs. The Americans certainly captured local huts and were feted at every turn. The leading daily newspaper awarded them the Big E for exemplary behavior. The historic town of Ross, always a popular tourist spot, proved especially so for the crew of the Enterprise. Tom Miovis, a licensed private pilot, however, preferred to take a bird's eye view of the ruins of Port Arthur.
The brick buildings, are they the originals? Is that right? Over here? Yeah.
These towering cliffs of the Tasman Peninsula prevented many an escape from the notorious penal settlement. The Big E itself was of great interest to the people of Hobart, with ferries running out to the big carrier all day long. The Americans were challenged to that English version of gridiron called rugby union. And Cascade, Australia's oldest brewery, had daily tours for a real Australian sport. Within hours of the arrival of the Enterprise, word got round of trout up to 5 kilograms being won from the new waters of Lake Pedder.
Hey, how about that?
Lieutenant Commander Tom Gravely and Lieutenant Tom Snyder wasted no time in taking up the challenge of one of Tasmania's wilderness areas. But back in Hobart, the party went on and on and on. The Marine detachment aboard the Enterprise celebrated the 201st birthday of the United States Marine Corps with all the ceremonial and circumstance that denotes that famous fighting force. Captain C.C. Smith, commanding officer of the Enterprise, cut the birthday cake, assisted by Marine Captain Ray Bischoff. Traditionally, the oldest and youngest Marines from the Enterprise had the first slices of cake. While the Marines honored their heritage, elsewhere, the party went on and on and on.
This is Gary Wilson from 7HO in Hobart, Tasmania's #1 radio station in late summertime in the afternoon. You mightn't believe that it is summertime, but it is. And I have in the studio from one of the radio stations on board USS Enterprise, Mike McClellan from KCOW.
That's correct, Gary. Thank you very much. It's really great to be here.
Tell me, what's the reaction been towards the crew by the people here in Hobart?
I think the reaction has been something that no one ever dreamed of. It's been really fantastic. The people have really opened their hearts and their houses to everyone, and it's really been fine.
Well, we hope so. We wanted you to come, and we wanted you to think that we were the friendliest place in the world.
Well, I am convinced that you are.
Tell me, what sort of music do you play on board the USS Enterprise at COW?
We play mostly country music, the popular country artist Johnny Cash and those, and also we play an artist who is very popular down here, I believe, and who hits the popular charts as well as the country charts. I'm speaking of Olivia Newton-John.
Well, it looks like that. She could hit anything.
Yes, indeed.
And I have an Olivia Newton-John track here that I'm going to play for you.
I believe it's off an album that I just purchased and brought in for you. It's from Long Live Love.
And the track is called...
I honestly love you, Olivia. I really do.
You don't mean it.
Oh, I do.
In the closing hours of liberty, Chief Tom Miovis and other men from the Enterprise were hosted by their Australian counterparts at the local naval headquarters, HMAS Huon. For some, it was a quiet goodbye. For others, the party never stopped.
Don your hats. Don your hats. Hats
Perhaps, though, when all the celebrations were over, it was the children who proclaimed the success of the visit. Tasmania hopes that wherever the great ship may be, one day she will return.
Better